The Ferrari Roma just made its debut at an event in Rome, and it shakes off the aggressive sheet metal of the current lineup and takes a more subtle approach with its surfacing. It borrows heavily from the limited series SP line, though the Roma does have a few tricks up its sleeve. Let's take a look. The headlights have a DRL string running through them. It's doing a few things for this area of the car. Firstly, this strip frames the lighting unit. It's composed of two rectangular bulbs placed in different levels that sink into the bumper. It's encased in a glass housing, but from most angles it's completely transparent. This is where the DRL comes into play. It meets the rest of the body, keeping everything uniform while maximizing the depth of the headlamps. It also does its part in making the car wider and more imposing. There's an implied line running from the edge of the hood to the headlamp. We'll go through what this line does for the car a bit later, but for now we'll focus on how it continues into the DRL. Even though the two don't actually connect, the implied line gives the impression of a continuous line. The body appears to kick up over nothing, but there's actually a panel here. It's ever so slightly ajar to allow air to flow through. Lastly, it initiates a panel gap right in front of the wheel well. What sets this one apart is how it folds under the hood and into the body like origami, creating a discreet air intake. The grille sports an unusual exploded lattice pattern. The slats start off small at either side and gets larger until it resembles the egg crate grille that's on their Grand Tours. Ferrari says it only opens up when necessary for cooling. It also draws your eye to the lip of the car. The grille wafts up until it gets cut off by the opposing angle of the hood, and this is highlighted by the curvature of the lip. The SP influence has really come through on the front splitter. Both cars have pronounced splitters, but the one in the Roma is really pronounced. Two columns provide a strong foundation to the flowing experimental upper half while breaking up the void down below. A sliver of color establishes the front clip down here and makes the entire car feel lowered to the ground. Let's head back up to the lip and see where it takes us. It rests atop the grille as a slightly convex disc, but gains an entirely new dimension as it climbs the lamps and drapes over the wheel. This shoulder is decades in the making. I don't want to derail this too much, so I'll be brief. Engineering and design in the early automotive industry were dictating how cars looked, and it was determined that a streamlined body that integrated the wheels and fenders would result in improved aerodynamics. Racing engineers wanted to affix large slicks onto their cars while making the rest of the car as low as possible. Hence the shoulders. We can see the progression, going from an early version like the 410S to those from the 250 GTO to extreme examples like the 330 P4. On the Roma, they highlight the wheels and make the rest of the hood feel lower by comparison. It fades out a little on the profile to give the other lines room to breathe, instead of becoming the main shoulder line the cabin rests on. Past the door line, it flares out into a wide haunch that accentuates the car's Coke bottle shape. Finally, it melts into the cabin's teardrop finish and gives way to the Nolder. The silhouette of the car is a graceful, sweeping, uninterrupted line. No floating pillar trickery to pull you away. No two-toned cabin to disrupt it. Just a smoothly rigged cabin accented with some excellent bright work. The chrome doesn't line the entire window, it simply guides your eye from the A pillar to the C pillar. It kicks up as the rear shoulder becomes more aggressive. Moving down, we can see that the body rolls inward right above the flush door handle to create a highlight that spans the length of the body. It adds a line without really adding a line. The body also gets thinner, which creates the bottle shape when it meets the haunch. The crease coming from the rear wheel really sells it. It pops out from the body roll and just about meets the shoulder haunches. This is communicated to us by how the light spills onto it. It grabs about as much as the shoulder and pops out when compared to the narrowing section right above it. The line dwindles. Light gradually fades away, which helps us better perceive the narrowing. The front splitter finds new life here at the rocker panel, which grounds the side view much like it does for the front. Last, but certainly not least, we need to talk about this turn signal. Ferrari didn't frame it into the body or integrate it into the mirror. It's just an honest indicator, and it helps it is the same size and shape as the lug nuts. The rear end is punctuated by a pinched decollete that visually lengthens the car. Ferrari's circular quad headlights conform to it, and the pops of bright color bring their eye across. Above this we see another part of the active aero. The panel the Ferrari wordmark rests on is really a self-deploying spoiler that pops out to provide additional downforce. The lettering placement is interesting too. Historically, it's always occupied a flat surface on the deck while the badge was on another surface underneath. This continues on to the current crop of cars, but a few have bucked the trend. The 812 pushes it above the back window while the GTC makes do with just the horse. This car takes after the latter. Its deck isn't as harsh here, so the additional separation gives both it and the bad space. The rocker panel can be used further and turn into a rear diffuser. This section doesn't benefit from it the same way the other sections do. Its deck lid and crease are enough to level it out. Additionally, the diffuser juts out on the side of you and keeps the rear from browning out. It's good the way it is, but it could have been great. At least it's functional and helps the car get past safety regulations. It pays homage to Ferraris from the 50s and 60s while also introducing new elements into Ferrari's ethos. Let's just hope this is a sign of things to come. Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear your suggestions for videos, so if you have any, then drop them in the comments. I make videos on automotive design and history, so if you're interested, then consider subscribing.